Okay. Hello, hello, everyone. Let me get my banners and everything together.
I know you are so on it. I love coming on your channel because it's pink.
We're all family here, so you can, just rest assured that I'll get to you in a minute. I'm just adjusting things. People are here already. Terry Turkmani, have you been here before? Hello, friend. That's a new name. There's Ava and Christy Blocker is here. Well, friends, thank you. Welcome to a Reseller's Passion YouTube channel. I'm here with my girl, Sarah Styles. I love having Sarah on, and we're going to do things a little bit different today. Nothing scary. We're just like always, just talking about the same structured stuff. So I just want to get to know Sarah a little bit better today and ask her a little bit about her courses and some things that I wrote down that I've been curious about because we get on and it's like this routine. So you can introduce yourself. For the people who are here, I'm pretty sure they know who you are, but we should never assume, right?
Yes, and other people who are going to find your wonderful channel. And so I am Sarah from Sarah Styles LLC. I am a mom of 3 kids. I am a reseller. This will be my second full year at the end of December, but I've upcycled since I was in high school. So taking things from the thrift store and making them into new. So I have background in, thrifting and then on Etsy, SEOs and stuff. And then analytics. Yes, I do analytics too. So I have a degree in mathematics. I worked in corporate America for, 7, 8 years doing data analytics, forecasting, statistical modeling. And so I bring that into my reselling and help other people. I have dashboards, I have courses, and then my social media, Instagram and YouTube are dedicated to helping resellers learn what their numbers mean and then how they can use it to make the money that they want to make.
I love listening to Sarah because it's like such a mouthful. The cool thing is she knows herself. Me, I'm listening like I would be tripping over everything, especially like your intro. Like, what's your intro for your video? Like, first you say it's your styles. Then what is the next part that you say?
Oh, yes. It's taken me many retakes to get that right. So my intro is, what's up, y'all? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here, where data empowers true potential, and I show you the power of your numbers.
Yes. And I'm all about winging it. Like, I have to remember, okay, yes, I'm Leslie and I'm a reseller's passion. Bam, that's it. And I mean, literally every time I watch your videos, I was like, how does she do that? Is she one of the people that comes back and does it over and over again?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Have you ever seen me do it in a live video? No.
So it's not just me. I'm not alone. And for all the people who are making video content, remember, we're all human. Now, Leslie, when you watch my videos, there's very little editing involved. And I'm going to tell you, like today, the video I released, I actually told you that the fire department was going by. And you can hear I'm just keeping it real, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say hi to some friends. People are jumping on. Hello. Oh, my goodness. Wendy Span, hello, Wendy. Courageously Thriving, who's Michelle. Vandy's Closet, hey, Melissa, what is going on? Dresden's Closet, hey, Margaret. Madeline Adams, hello, welcome. Glow Girl Glow, who is my good friend Nikki. Evolving Always, who is Terry. Lori Owens, how are you, friend? How is everyone today? I'm so glad that you've taken time out of your day to spend it with me and Sarah. And so, Sarah, I like to ask this question because sometimes we get lost in the mix. We talk about our journey in your home and your virtual homeschooling. How are things going for you?
Oh, girl, it is. So, I mean, if you don't follow me and you don't know me, I have 3 children, 3, 5, 15 is special needs in high school. And he's my stepson. So every other week we have him, which adds complexity to that as well. Especially during COVID, because you're going back and forth between places. So they were all home in the spring because everything shut down. The high schooler went back hybrid after a month they were home, and then they went back hybrid. So he was at school 2 days a week, and they shut him down he was actually on quarantine and then they shut the school down in November, and we decided to keep the 3 and 5-year-old home the whole school year so far, because my 5-year-old, she's 6 now, I should say that, my 6-year-old had a really hard time mentally, emotionally when things got shut down. She kind of regressed a little bit. And so we were nervous if the school started and then it got shut down again. And then just the mental health piece of it. So they have been home with me, and it's, I don't want to be a preschool or kindergarten teacher. Like, it was never my life's desire. And we've had no break from them for 9 months. Like, no one watches our kids now. We don't have childcare. And 3 and 5-year-olds are hard. So it's been a struggle. This week was better. But I also did not work much this week. That's when I find it to be the biggest struggle, is when I want to try and get some work done and they just need me. Then I get cranky, and then they get cranky, and then we're just all on the floor crying together. So
Wait, I like the fact that you mentioned that mental health piece. Sometimes people don't think about their children. They don't think about what affects their children, because children are pretty laid back and they're just how they are. They don't hide themselves. They're just like out there. So you can see their true, spirit. And I think the same thing, because my granddaughter is 7 and she was here a few weeks ago, and just kind of seeing her, she's like normal and everything, but she's virtual because she was in one school, got accepted into another school because of her academics, 2nd grader at a totally brand new school, but she's never been in school. It's all virtual, so how do they, how does that affect them? She's doing really well. She's like a straight A student and everything, but I just think about, like, how does that affect her?
And this is, I guess fortunately my 6-year-old is very in tune with her feelings. Sometimes I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I get that you have feelings, like, take a chill pill for a minute. But she is very in tune. So I think that she's able to vocalize it a lot more. Like, my 6-year-old or my 3-year-old can't. And my oldest is autistic. And so he has a very hard time, vocalizing his feelings as well. So it's hard for parents to make choices right now and decide it's all bad. Yeah. Like, what's the best of the worst for us to do?
So I do send everything, all my strength and everything out, especially for parents, all parents, but especially parents of special needs children, on the spectrum, at every level, disability, whatever, because we depend on our facilities and our teachers and the support systems. Believe me, I'm a mother of a daughter who is on the spectrum. Thankfully, she's out of school. She's just turned 23 2 weeks ago. And so that was hard having to deal with that, dealing with the school. So I can't even imagine moms that are home and the services, you can't do that virtually, know?
He's not. And that's why we pushed for hybrid. That was the only choice, because then at least he's getting 2 days a week. And nothing against the schools, but he is, because they're dealing with stuff too. But, he's on an IEP and his needs are not being met. And you're gonna make me, I was tearing up a little bit, because it is a big struggle. He's not succeeding, and there's lots of and he's not getting what he needs. And if you push back on the school, it's just a really hard situation right now.
Yeah, schools, I don't want to hear it. Work it out. That's the way I feel about it. And I understand they're going through things. My thing is, like, all kids are regular kids. Everyone is at their own level. They're born how they're born. So we approach them from where they are, because I had five personalities, medical condition, on the spectrum. So I had to approach each child at their individual level. But the schools, I'm going to say double up, and I understand that it's tough right now, but especially those children with special needs, because we need those services. We want them to be able to go to a facility so that we can say, look, this is what we got to do. We got to breathe at home, So,
well, and he's in a new school because he transitioned to high school this year. So it's a new school anyway. And when we transitioned to middle school, even when it wasn't COVID, when we transitioned, there was, like a 6 to 8 to a year of them, like, learning him and what things meant. And so we're dealing with that on top of it. I do want to say real quick, that's one other reason, because we do Montessori, and I know you're familiar, but Montessori, they have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. So preschool, and kindergarten are all in the same classroom. And the teacher that decided to do the remote learning for kindergarten was the teacher that my daughter's had for 2 years. Okay. And that was one of the big reasons too, that we're like, because she didn't want to go to a new teacher. Okay. She was like, I don't want, so that was another, like, mental health piece, to stay with the same teacher that she's had for 2 years.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. So hopefully we can all that. I totally relate. That's when I married Thomas, I not only did I move from a different state, and my daughter was actually a freshman in high school. So can you imagine? I'm newly married, we're moving, and you're in high school with kids you've never met before. It was different if they were like in middle school with you ever. You didn't know these kids. Yeah. So you're already into yourself. You don't have a social you know, you don't have any friends or anything. So now I'm like in another school. And again, all the other teachers knew me. They knew the IEP. I was advocating. I was in there.
Yes. You have to start all over again.
Start all over again and like reintroduce who I am, you know. So,
and we have a complex situation because we have 3 parents and not all parents agree on everything.
Yeah. Well, I have a baby daddy too, so believe me, I totally
yeah, they have to figure out, you know, find the middle ground between the parents arguing as well. So it's a complex situation for sure. We also moved during the
I remember that.
When it first started. Yeah, we signed, or we got a offer on our house the day before the kids school shut down. So like in the very beginning, we were moving during a shutdown with absolutely no help, which can also cause anxiety for kids too, because you have a new house. And yeah, so it's been a wild year, but I'm hanging in. What can you do?
You can only do what you can do. And that's the truth. But that's why I like to ask you. I mean, you know, we're all doing our thing. We're all resellers, but that's really not what we're doing here. We want to have conversation and we want to learn. And it's because it's someone here who needs to hear your story. You know, where as parents, we can only do what we can do. There is no perfect parent. If there is, you need to get out of here. I don't want to meet you. Don't want to talk to you. In no way am I perfect. I've evolved in my parenting, and now through that evolution, I'm no longer technically, I'm a parent. I've parent children, but now my children are adults. So I only advise at this point. I don't parent anymore. So I worked and I got to this process, and it's a lot of work. It's been days that I've teared and, you know, closed myself in a closet, closed myself in the bathroom just to kind of get myself together. So the person that you see is the same person every day. Leslie is the same person every day. And I still have life challenges. And I tell people, you can contact me and we can have a discussion and we can talk about them things. I've homeschooled, not at the level that you're homeschooling now, but I had five homeschool. I have stair steps at every level. I had, you know, so I've experienced all of the things that you're experiencing, and you know, we can talk about it any way that we can.
Yeah, and I will advocate and say that Leslie's not lying, because we have talked about this, you know, checked in and just chatting and then get into it. I mean, I think part of the struggle too with what I'm doing, like I've been forced into this homeschooling. It's not my choice.
Right.
And also a lot of homeschooling, because I looked at homeschooling, you know, there's like cohorts and we still like, and even like during the summer, everyone's like, oh, well, it's like summer break. And I'm like, except for we can go to museums and zoos and the parks and play dates. And like, we have not left our house and the kids are all, you know, melting down. And then I am like, well, I'm struggling with this. Imagine what my kids are. And that's why they're acting out. So then I have to have more patience, but we're all just at our wits' ends and making it the best we can. I'm a huge proponent of, therapy and counseling. I see a therapist, and I think that definitely she does virtual appointments, and that's helped tremendously just to have, you know, someone to talk through, because a lot of what your reactions are now are things that happened in the past that you don't necessarily connect to, and so just working through some of those things from my childhood and what else helps me deal with the situation as it is now.
No, I think we all, that my father says that all the time. He says everyone should be on someone's couch, chair, or whatever, and talking to someone. There's nothing wrong with that, to get our feelings out. And there are things that are going to be pulled out of us that we didn't know were there, or there are things inside of us that we didn't know how to bring out. You know, especially when you're in a relationship, when you're with your spouse and you've got your thing, they've got their thing, and you've got to work through your thing first before you can work through their thing, and before you can bring both of those things together. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I think everyone should do it, especially this year. I don't get yourself a WebMD, someone that you can talk to through insurance. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, that is one of the, I'm trying to think of like the good things that have come out of this year. And one of the amazing things is all of the doctor's appointments that will do web appointments now. Because as a mom of 3 children, trying to like, especially with no childcare, I mean, my husband fortunately works from home, but he's working all day. And so trying to get to doctor's appointments is always really hard with little kids. And now I'm like, oh, cool. I can just like call in for the 10-minute appointment and talk to you. And, you know, we don't have to. So that's one of the good things that has come out. There's a lot of web appointments.
Good stuff. Yeah, I like this. And Sarah's right. I'm like, anyone can send me a DM and I'll respond. I really love keeping that door open, because sometimes we don't know which direction to go in. this is my bottom line, and the ladies in my private group know that. Never think that I'm too busy. You'll never know unless you send me a message. One thing I will say is I probably won't respond within 2 seconds or anything like that, but I answer every single DM that comes into my DMs. And I don't just go, hey, I try to have a conversation, and I try to answer questions. And I think it's really important, unless someone's being rude. Like I got one yesterday, like, I'm not famous, people, so don't just go, hey, introduce yourself and, at least start a conversation with me. That will, make it a little bit smoother, because I will get back to you and go, yeah, it's not that kind of rodeo over here. So let me say hi to a couple friends.
And I saw Daniela and Denali pop on.
Red Fair Fashion, Tiana. Okay, I'm just going. Hey, Daniela. Hey, El Ducho, who is Denali. So if everyone should be getting to know everyone here. If you have a YouTube channel, if you're on Instagram, wherever you're social, drop your social media handles in here. Not everyone who is here is on YouTube. So definitely make yourself known. Terry says, I homeschool 3 of my children. I got to choose curriculum and my schedule. All of you who are teaching your kids under remote learning are amazing. I admire you. Terry, I piggyback right off of that. As Sarah said, I actually chose, the reason I chose is because I had a daughter who had a medical condition, and because my Stephanie was on the spectrum. So it just made it easier for me, especially at 5, daycare, please. But you're right about that. This virtual learning is the school's curriculum. I was able to put my curriculum together, and as long as I stayed within, state requirements, and my children passed all the standardized testing and things like that. But let's not get it twisted. They did go back to school. I stayed home for 8 years as each of them, and then they all went off to school. They all graduated from regular high school and all that good stuff.
Yeah, but building your own curriculum on top of this, I am so, so, so thankful that the teacher sends up. And we are, for the little kids, I'm not going to speak to the high school because that's a train wreck. But for the little kids, it's Montessori. So their teacher is very into follow the child's lead. She's very understanding that we're at home and the complexities at home. Like when they're on Zoom calls and they're playing with toys, they're in their room. It's their environment that parents have. She has a weekly parents call with us to check in and see how we're doing and if the work's okay. And one Zoom call a day, which is about all that a 6-year-old and 3-year-old can handle, not this all day. So we're very thankful, and she's been great at providing Montessori type work remote, which is kind of hard.
Yeah, it is. And that's how I taught my children. They went to a Montessori preschool, which was like a co-op kind of thing. So they would go 3 days a week, which was wonderful. So as each child, I had Sonia, who's my 18-year-old, when she was a baby, my Craig and Stephanie could go 3 days a week. Even though I was homeschooled, the older ones, that was a relief for me. And it was totally a Montessori. They didn't have all the books and everything. It was the colors and all. And so I loved it. And they actually learn more that way. And I'm also with Sarah when she was talking about being able to go places. When I homeschooled, my curriculum, we did go to the Arboretum. We did go to the museums. We did all those things. Right now, where can you really go that is safe?
You can't. The parks.
Yeah.
But even then, they get crowded. And that's during the summer, I'm a stay-at-home mom with the kids. And during the summer, it's not curriculum, but we do activities and we go to different places and it breaks up the day and doesn't make it as monotonous, and we're not all stuck. We've literally only seen each other for 9 months. Yeah. We waved to grandma through the window, but yeah.
So Denali says your Monday episode of Reseller's Passion was really good. Leslie, I listened yesterday. Everyone needs to listen. What episode was that, Denali? I have so much great content,
Yeah, Leslie is too busy. She does all the things.
So just kind of off topic, it is so amazing. We each all have such different content. And I want to tell people, and hopefully Sarah can, agree with me on this, is that if you're creating content, just create content. Have fun doing it. Do not watch the numbers. Do not look at your numbers. You do want to try to look at, analytics. That Sarah's laughing because she's number.
Yeah, because I'm
I know what I mean more specifically. not really, really numbers. Because after I said numbers, I was I saw that grin on Sarah's face. I think the key is to have fun, because if you don't, you're not going to make content. and you're not going to make valuable content. Like, you shouldn't make content just to make content. I have fun making videos, and I get DMs all day. So literally the content that I create is from the community. It's based on what the community is asking me to create. So it's not like today I just released a video of me, polishing some bags that I got out of my vintage and brought this Coach and Liz Claiborne bag to life. That's fun, but also it's creative for me. I have to keep my creative side. Otherwise, the work side stresses me out. I do get stressed and I do have my bad days. Like, I am human. So anytime you see me doing some other things, and if I'm not talking about numbers and what's sold, that's because it's too much. So I have to go to a place that is creative for me, and I can still create content with that. So what do you feel about that? Aside from like the actual analytics, what is your thought on creating content for?
Yeah, well, so I think you have to know what the purpose of content is for you, and that's different for all of us. I like the numbers. And so I do like looking at things and seeing, like, I had a video that performed really well, and I was like, okay, cool, like that's the video for me. And, so I like that. And you can tell obviously in my content that I create, that's what comes out. But I think when you are starting and you're building, yes, and it changes, do what makes you happy. Because if you're trying, right, like if you're trying to do something, hey, this person, I'm going to make a video like this person who's really successful, it's not going to come out the same. Do what makes you happy, and the people will follow. But for me, I like to look at the numbers. So that's my only caveat.
No, I what you were going to say. That is, from that perspective, yes, because you're definitely showing your dashboard. We're going to talk about all that in a few minutes. You're definitely getting into that, and that is what makes you unique. And that is what I try to talk to the community about. Find your space. Yeah, find what works for you. Don't try to repeat and do what other people are doing. You can try it if that's what you want to do, because what's going to happen is if you don't like it, you're going to stop. And the people who are coming to you for that content will stop coming to you because they were like, oh, well, she only did it for a little bit of time. I'm not interested. I'm going to go back to this person's content. So you want to have fun with it. And then Sarah is into the numbers and the analytics. So that is her platform.
It totally drives me. And the YouTube analytics are ridiculous. They're so good that I'm like, I'm gonna try this video, and then I go and look at my but that gives me joy, and I know it's not for everybody.
My son just diagnosed having a mild autism a few weeks ago. He's 19 months now, and we found out it's very depressing, but I try to be positive and focus and give extra care to my son. Kamzy, all you can do is what you can do. Follow your son's lead, but make sure you become the best advocate that you can. Do not take any crap from doctors and, school. This is the perfect age, because what I will tell you is it took me 11 years for my daughter to get diagnosed, even though I knew she was experiencing some challenges and I never treated her any different. So that's why she was able to go through high school and never be in a special ed class or anything like that. But she did have an IEP. So continue, for all the parents, do not take no. I may seem like the nicest person, but I'm really not when it comes to my children. I don't take no, and I jump in there where I have to.
And I think it's enlightened a little bit more when you have a kid on the spectrum or has some kind of disability. It's almost like a grieving process, and someone told me that, because you see this future for them. Yes. And it's going to be different than what you saw. But I think that's with all your children, because my other children too are coming out completely different than. And not anything wrong with it, but I'm like, oh, like that's totally interesting that that's what you like. And now we're going to go with that and follow your lead on it too. It can be really overwhelming, though. There's so much information and hard to know who's right. There's no right, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's no right.
It's a spectrum. Yeah. And just take it day by day. Find people that you can connect with that just understand what you're going through as best they can.
And then the cool thing that you did say, Kamzy, is your son is mild, which again, that really doesn't make a difference. And he's 19 months old. It is so early. I tell you, my daughter, who is now 18, was born with a condition called hydrocephalus. She has a shunt. They told me she wouldn't walk, talk, and she would be severely developmentally delayed. She is a pre-med student, a freshman in college. So you just keep working with your child. And do everything that you can, do all the research, like Sarah said. It's amazing what you can accomplish at home that can't be accomplished on the outside.
And depending on where you are, federally they have it, but there's programs that help for free programs that help for early intervention. It depends on where you are, what it's called. Vandy's Closet is asking what an IEP is. It's an individual education program or plan. So it helps you go through, and the school helps you, like you have a diagnosis and what some of the, I don't know the right word to say, not issues, but some of the struggles that they have. And like for my son, he has struggles with timing and tests and stuff. So he gets a little bit more time on things. And it's individual to each child to help them access the education that every child has access to.
Yeah. And it's not just for people who develop, it's not just for children on the autism spectrum, because I two children were considered gifted. So they also had IEPs. And the IEP is the plan, but also that allows the government to pay for their services. So that IEP is that official paper that says, look, this is where the money is going to come to for if you have to have a pair or whatever the situation may be, especially for extra testing. My daughter had the same thing. A para has to be with her because she is probably finished with the classroom and now she's in the room with the para continuing to take her tests. So that IEP it is individual to your student, to your child.
For them to access. I went to school to be a teacher too, so didn't throw that in there, but I could go into all of that. And it's just how the government, it makes these schools accountable for making sure that every student has access to the same education, whether they have a disability or are gifted. There's the other spectrum too. They need different levels of teaching in different ways if they're on the other side of that too, right?
Yes. And you have to fight. Like I said, my daughter wasn't diagnosed until she was actually a sophomore in high school. And that was a challenge. So it's because the doctors themselves are the ones who technically are doing the diagnosis. And they have this age, which is by 3 or something. By then, it becomes a huge deal. So I still treated her regular. We did everything we needed to do by the time she got to high school, and they did not want to use her IEP. Thankfully, I worked in the district as a lunch lady at an elementary school, and I knew the counselor. She in turn put me in contact with the head of the disability. She sent me the email, everything I needed to take to the meeting. When I got to the meeting, she was there. So it's amazing. And she came there for me. She said, you're here to advocate for your daughter. I'm here to advocate for you. And I'm like, I love it.
That's amazing.
It's like amazing. So, mommies, daddies, just advocate for your children. You just do what you can. And I know Margaret also has her 6-year-old is on the spectrum and has to sit at the computer. I don't get it. I don't, even if your child wasn't on the spectrum, they should not be sitting at the computer at 6 years old, because on a normal basis, you're not letting a 6-year-old sit at the computer. My kids would not have electronics and all that stuff when they were young like that. So
and they're not learning. There's no way that I posted, I do a morning workout usually when my kids are on Zoom. And so I'll post it in my story sometimes. And I don't always watch it because I post it and then I go do my stuff. And I watched someone yesterday, my 3-year-old's in the background on a Zoom call, and he's standing up and he's like bending over and he's laying down, he's scratching his knee. And like, I was having so hard.
Oh my gosh. And it's about hours, right? Isn't it about like a certain amount of hours? Like the kids have to be on something. I don't know if it's the same for the monetary system, but I know.
Yeah, because we're a charter school, so we can get away with different things. There is someone asking, they won one of my programs. Send me a DM on Instagram, because you're going to have to, it's a digital program. So I'll have to
we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, because I have some notes. I just wanted to talk about the personal stuff, because that's the thing, we don't talk about that stuff all the time. That was,
for sure.
Yeah, because now we have Michelle. We have such a great advice, Leslie, I'm taking to heart and learning. And that's how Michelle and I connected. Her daughter is 17 and she has Asperger's as well. Mm-hmm. So so much in common. Let's see. And then my other teacher friend, Daniela, over here. Did you see the comment? Where did it go?
I was reading Margaret.
It's moving so fast, I can't keep up. Melissa says, I do love how we all are different. Yes, I do, because I love Melissa's channel. I love Daniela's channel. I love Denali hasn't been doing a lot. She did just do that live a little while ago. Mm-hmm. Lori Boston found all my friends.
But Denali has so much past videos too that even if
I know
you can get.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. I see some. I'm just making sure I don't forget anyone. Don't forget to drop all your information because everyone we want to follow. Dusty Leather and Lace. Hey, Kelly, what is going on? My little friend Ava. Ava says, hi, Sarah. I won one of your programs. Do they come in mail? And Ava is 13 years old. I just want to let you guys know that. She's an 13-year-old who sells on Poshmark. And the reason that I know her is because she came to my Poshmark 9th birthday party. Super sweet. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yes. I sent, and she doesn't have Instagram. So I sent her I sent her an email.
Okay.
So if you haven't received it, Ava, then send me an email, Sarah Styles LLC at outlook.com.
Yes, yes.
And if you still don't hear, pester Leslie to make sure that we get in contact. I want to make sure that you
definitely reach out to me. She does respond to email, so it probably just kind of passed her by.
Or maybe it went through to spam since she doesn't know me.
Sometimes, yeah. Which is this. The neurologist gave our son his autism diagnosis, and then the school district told us he doesn't have autism because he makes good eye contact. I'm sorry, I don't. Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to keep fighting that. You have a little while to go. So yeah.
And the thing with schools too is, so there's a medical diagnosis, and then how it impacts your education, and the schools, depending on the district that you're at and their funding. Nothing against the schools, we're all trying the best that we can. It's something that's broken in the system, but they don't all have a lot of funding, so oftentimes they will try and push back because they just don't have the resources, and they say that it doesn't impact. And we've had plenty of times where they're like, well, he's doing good. I'm like, yeah, because of all the support. Take his support away. Oh, look at that, a whole semester and you took it away and he's not doing it. Imagine that.
Yes. And that's because, like, my daughter, she heard Dr. X diagnosed her when we got here, and she got a new pediatrician, and the pediatrician was like, so the school, but it's just parents, just advocate. Just do the best that you can, but you have to keep digging. You do research, find programs. Like Sarah said, there's a lot of free programs. And when we were in Philly, Temple University had some programs. And this was before my daughter even got diagnosed. I don't understand how she didn't get diagnosed, even though they knew there was a challenge. So there was a lot of great programs that we participated in for free. So that was a lot of fun.
And if something doesn't feel, your kid's the best. If something doesn't sound or feel right, then go find someone else.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Sarah. So let's talk about your dashboards. This is what I want to know about your dashboards, not the typical everyday thing. You created a dashboard. One, why did you create the dashboard? That's the first question.
I created it. Well, I had it for myself. Not nearly what it looks like today because it was me and I don't need it to be pretty because I don't care. I was just looking at my numbers, but I started on Poshmark, and Poshmark has nothing for data. I have a background in data analytics, corporate America numbers. And I was like, well, what is selling well? I would watch YouTube videos and people like, oh, this sells well. And I'm like, but what does that, how, what do you know? I want numbers. I want hard facts. So I started tracking my own data. And then as I got more into the Poshmark community, talking to people, and they're like, this is amazing. I want to know that stuff too. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just, you can just put your stuff in there and I'll just make the charts so so everyone has access to it. And then it's evolved into 3 of them as my reselling journey has evolved into multiple platforms.
So how do you feel about that? How do you feel that, what you made for yourself through the magic of math has resonated so well within the community?
I feel so I've had a zillion different jobs. And I feel like they've all led me to this point in life because I have been upcycling as a side hustle for a long time. I went to school to be a math teacher, did data analytics, and now I can be teaching math on the internet. And then I can use my data analytics to help people learn how to do it, but then also get that creative outlet of doing the reselling myself. And I really like to help people. I went to school to be a high school math teacher in the city, and that didn't work out because of the economy at the time. But I want to be able to help people, and that's why I'm trying to price things as best I can. And I've made this sheet in Google Sheets so that everyone has access to it, and really just help people understand that math isn't scary. I know it can be, so I try really hard to help because everyone should have access to it if they want to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's amazing because you'll be on a Zoom chat or be at a Posh and Coffee or something like that. Not you specifically, but like me, I should be saying like me. And someone will just start talking about, like, someone will say, "Oh, I'm having challenges," or I produce my inventory report. Where do I go from there? And someone will just say, "Well, I've tried Sarah's."
Oh, really?
Or, oh gosh, I hear it all the time. And that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because again, when you're on, not everyone gets into like those little practical questions. To me, I'm curious about, like, how does it feel for you? It's like really growing. And then the other piece to that is, so how does it feel that now you're getting known in the community, you're getting invited to speak at different things? Like, did you see yourself here? And now that you are kind of here, what impact is that having on you personally?
I did not see myself here. I didn't even want a YouTube channel, and I still struggle with that myself. I'm not a big social media person, and I know that's going to sound crazy for people watching this, because I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram. My personal social media, I am not a social media person. And even YouTube, I don't watch a lot of YouTube. Like, I'll watch your channels when it comes up and people that I know, but it's just not really who I am. So I have a struggle with that, and it's flattering to be recognized, especially for all the hard work that I put in. But I internally struggle, I think, a little bit with, like, I don't want to get too quote unquote big, because I feel like lots of drama follows when you get to a certain level. And I'm like, I don't want drama. I just want to help people with their numbers. So,
hey, Nick, Mr. Smiles down there. Hello. Yeah, I agree with you when it comes to that. People think that I'm so like comfortable. This is the evolution of Leslie. I didn't arrive here. If you ask my husband, he was talking about where he wanted to be and what he wanted to do in terms of video and digital and everything 2 years ago. And I was like, you'll never get me in front of a camera. I'm not getting in front of a camera. I'm not doing it. 2 months later, I started my YouTube channel. And I'm here. It'll be 2 years in January that I started this whole journey. And I think it's great that you said that, because I don't want to be like, I just want to be like the same everyday person. My numbers don't determine who I am. That's not representative of who I am as an individual. I still keep showing up the same way every day. If you've known me since January 2019, then you know I'm the same person that I was there. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to have fun. You're going to see me smiling most of the time. That's why I got this line here on my face. And I'm going to continue to help the community. I show up for everyone else. That's, because it brings me so much joy. But I just, I was curious, because I was writing notes like, what can I ask Sarah today that I haven't asked her before? And so, like, when you go on, are you nervous when you go on? Like, when you were at Posh Fest, were you nervous?
I was nervous at Posh Fest because they're a hot mess. So there was a lot leading up to it. We had multiple meetings trying to figure it all out. Like, a lot of behind the scenes that it was not as well organized as I would have expected out of such a big event from a big company. But then, and even leading up to it, I made sure I had the right link, because I'm always nervous on someone else's channel. Like, I'm not going to have the right, or even like when you came on, you're like, did I send her the right link? Like, it's always a little nerve-wracking. Right?
Yeah.
So I logged on 15 minutes early, and it was not the right link. And I'm trying to get in contact with all these people, but they're all on the Zoom call. And so luckily, the other person that I was on there, Disco Diva, was on there with, answered a DM finally, and was like, okay, we're gonna get. So I literally logged on, like, my face showed up 15 seconds before they went live.
Oh God.
So I was like, because I totally thought I was gonna miss it. I'd been promoting it all week. People were talking, I was like, I'm gonna be the person who like looks flaky for not showing up, right? So I was nervous for that one. Wow. Because of that. As I've been on more, I'm less and less nervous. I mean, if you watch some of my videos in the beginning, I get a little nervous, but I'm nervous talking about, I can talk about numbers and data all day. And even when people ask like really hard questions, I'm like, that's a good question. Let me look into that. And I get nervous when people ask questions that I don't necessarily know, I guess. But not, I mean, like chatting with you, I don't.
Well, yeah, because we're good friends, So, well, to piggyback off of that, how do you feel having your own show? Because we have shows. These aren't just lives. These are we have shows. We're entertaining and we're providing information, valuable information to the community. And of course, there's no competition. I love Sarah. She and Quimby were both on Monday, so you should have saw me. Like, why?
I know it's hard to.
Oh my gosh. But how do you feel when you have guests on? Are you nervous? And how do you feel? No, let me ask this question first. When you first decided to go live, why did you do that? And how do you feel now that you do have people coming on and it seems to be very successful?
Yeah. Danielle is still here. She was my very first live one. And it kind of just happened. Like I'd been thinking about it and we were chatting and we were talking about numbers and we were going back and forth. People. My husband knows the true me. He knows like how my life is. No, I was talking with Daniela like in DM on Instagram, going back and forth. And we were having some really good conversations and we were both like, we need to like talk about this with the community. Oh, no, thanks. And so I was like, let's do a first live. I feel like if it's a complete train wreck, I won't feel as pressured because you know that, and so she was my very first YouTube live that we figured out and it worked out okay. I will say that the lives, I do one every single Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard now. See, that just rolls off the tongue now. I've done it for so long. They are kind of the highlight of my week during it. They've gotten me through this pandemic really because I'm in the house with my kids and my husband all the time. And even like on Instagram talking with people and watching other people, but that's like my way to connect with other people. And there's very often I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it today. Like it's been such a Monday. And then I get on and by the end of it, I am just like, totally like refreshed. And, I had an hour away from the kids and talking to adults and things that we all like. And I like getting to know people. I was a hairdresser also. I was a hairdresser for 10 years, I don't know, a while. And I talk to people all day long and getting people to talk. And so I love having lots of different people on and, talking to the side hustle mom and the full-time reseller and trying these new strategies and any way that I can help other people. So if they're nervous to have a YouTube or they're trying to promote a product, I don't want to be the person where they're like, salesy, and everyone salesy comes on. But if I can help shine light, I have 3,000 followers. It's not that many, but to someone who, is smaller and help them. And same with Instagram. Once I got that swipe up, I was like, let me help these people and, do a seller spotlight and do some swipe ups for some other people in the community.
Yeah, and I'm glad as you said that. That's what we're supposed to do. When our numbers rise, that is why we do what we do. When I hit 10,000 on Instagram, I was so happy to get that swipe up. But my goal was, what can I do with the swipe up? Instead of just constantly selling my items, what can I do with that? So like if you're live or if someone's going live, you want to make sure you put that link in so that people can swipe up. You want to give as much information as you can. Same thing here on YouTube or all across social media. We want to support the community. It shouldn't just be about ourselves. One thing is the community has helped us kind of get here. So I've never arrived anywhere. I'm not arriving. My goal is to continue giving back because the community continues to show up. My numbers, and I say it just so people can understand. Yes, I'm 20,000 something on Instagram. That's the community sees something in me. I'm not buying anything. There's no bots. There's no follow for follow. There's nothing like that. That's just me being my true or authentic self every single day. And everything that I do, that's how I am. I've always been that way since I was young, As long as you use me, I'm there for you.
Right. And I haven't run into that at all. But I think you were the very first podcast that I was on. And when you asked me, it like made my entire month probably. I was so excited that because you work hard at social media too. So once people are like, I mean, it is make me feel good that I'm like, okay, I put in a lot of time for this. I am actually like, people are actually seeing my content. And so when you reached out the way that it made me feel, or like Denali reached out for the pod. And so if I can have that impact on someone and make their day by asking them on my channel and letting them have a voice, or just having them, a lot of times it's parents that are like, I am, where we just talk to kids all day and they just want someone to talk about with reselling about. If I can help bring that joy to someone else, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's all about paying it forward, friends. And I hope that everyone remembers that, because again, you never arrive. And the ladies in my community probably get tired of me hearing it. I know they don't. I just say that. But if you just have to watch a person from, go back to the beginning. Stop looking at people where they are right now, because we worked hard to get here. I worked hard to get here. I didn't just jump into this position. It's through all the frightening and, because I'm an introvert. People don't believe that. I'm an extroverted introvert, introverted extrovert.
I think with social media, it's a lot easier, right? Because there's a because I'm kind of an introvert too. Like if I were at I've said that I probably won't go to a Posh Fest. That might change now that I feel like I want to meet you, right? Like I have people that I'm like, I do want to meet them, and Posh Fest is probably where I would be. But it makes me so nervous to think about going to Posh Fest. But online, it's also why there's so many haters out there, because they have that barrier that they can say whatever they want. Exactly. But it makes it a lot easier, I think, socially.
Yeah, and one thing you said, like even going to Posh Fest, I am introverted. So a lot of times, introvert doesn't mean you're shy. It's like you're used to having like your space. When you're home, that's your safe space. So you choose to leave your house if you have to. When you work, you went to work and you socialize at whatever level. But when you come home, you're home. I can literally stay in my house for a month and not have to leave. So the pandemic is like, I'm like, okay, you stay out there, I'll stay in here. It snowed, 4 inches yesterday. I'm like, I see you, but I'm in my house. That's introvert. I keep myself comfortable, company. I can watch TV, I can read, I can run my business, but I do know how to socialize and be around people. Posh Fest, 1,600 people walking around, and you're like, whoa, I just need how I used to be with my kids. Can I go into the bathroom and just stay in the stall for a little bit? So everyone's around and you are socializing, and then you finally get to that place where I just need to be alone. So at one point in when we were at Posh Fest, it was I think it was either the first or second day, I don't remember. And I know I was a closet consultant, but I was like, I talked to my friends and I was like, I just need a little room. The huge room where everything took place, I go in and there's Jack and Ryan sitting at the table. I'm like, guys, what do you, they're like, it's too many people. I'm like, dude, I totally get you. So I sat with them and I'm like, I'm not alone on this. And they're like younger too, because they're like, oh, it's like really overwhelming. I was like, isn't it? It's like really overwhelming. It's so many people. So you have to kind of find your place and figure out how much you're going to deal with, because you're with people you don't know. You might be rooming with people you don't know. And it's always something going on. So yes, just because you're like here does not mean you can take it all in at one kind of thing. Because I had people like, people know me, and so it's like, oh my gosh,
I know.
What I'm counting on.
I know.
Let me see what everybody's talking about over here. Yes, Nick, you like my logo? Thank you so much, friend. I appreciate that. Brittany came in. Discount deals for you. Brunch with Diva, my girl Rhonda over there. And Melissa, if people don't know, Vandy's Closet is Melissa. She is a go-to for Thread Up. Definitely check out her channel. And she's jumping deep into the lives these days. Sarah was on last week. She says, I feel like a train wreck in my head when I'm doing lives. And people don't realize that. You could just be sitting there all day long and just like, oh my God. The whole time, and like,
when I was on her live, it was not a train wreck. My lives, I will flat out say that I'm a train wreck too, right? Like especially because I do them on Mondays but I think any day of the week it would be like that. But Mondays are hard because we're getting back into school and the kids and yeah, I'm a train wreck. But I also like doing the lives because then you can see my true who I am all the time. Not that I'm scripted for my uploads, but I build content. I make, kind of like a lesson plan essentially and teach you something. And I can cut out. I don't really edit anymore because it takes time, but.
Well, I love the fact that this community's here. It's so amazing to me. And I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, that however long ago you didn't know anyone. right? And now you've met so many people, and not just wonderful people who bring so much value. So many, they bring so much value to my life, and that means a lot to me, because not everyone brings value, and you can pick and choose who you want to associate with, like on a personal level. You speak of Daniela, who's a good friend of mine. She's super sweet. I love her so much. Anybody can have a conversation with Daniela. I bring her on like just once a month so we can just chat. But that this community, meeting you and meeting so many of the people, have just really just increased my life, in such a wonderful way. And that's why I keep showing up and having people on, because people are like, well, they're probably like, well, why is Sarah on for the 4th time? No one's ever said that to me, because they won't.
I was like,
no one's going to say that to me. Yeah. No one's going to say that to me. Our Heart's Delight. Hello. Let me see. Hello, Lizette. Thank you for that super chat that you just gave me. Yes, I do take monetary contributions now that I am monetized. This is one of the perks of being monetized. So drop them all down there. Thumbs up. I don't know how many people have thumbs up, but somebody is policing that. I think I saw Tiana.
And if you're watching this in the recording as well, leave a comment and save and share it, because that helps Leslie's algorithm.
Yes, indeed. And then set reminders for future videos and lives. I go live every Thursday. This month, I'm going live on the 22nd and the 29th. That's Tuesdays, and that's because it's the holiday. On the 22nd, I'm going to have the Flipping Gals on, and on the 29th, I'm going to have Quimby on. She and I are going to be talking about like the differences, our different experiences with the Joe Moore and ThreadUp and Goodwill boxes, just to kind of give people an idea of what they could possibly get. A little bit different. We're not unboxing. We're just going to like just discuss. As we go into the pandemic, people want to have resources on where they can get some inventory. Dresden Evan says, I agree. These lives saved me, no matter who was talking. Yes, I agree with you. I am like that. I try to watch people's videos, but the lives are so cool. And my husband will be there. Thomas will be like, are you having a party up there? He knows when I go live, but he doesn't know like if I'm watching a live on YouTube, or if I'm like watching a live here, a live on Instagram, and he could just hear me like laughing, and then I'll have the volume up. I don't have the TV on, I'll have the volume up, and I'll just be like, oh, I'm just loving it. And he's like, what is going on? I'm watching Sarah, or I'm watching Nikki, so it's like, and I'm like in it, and I'm like, I wish I could type faster, or I wish I could talk to them. It's just so much fun.
When people say to have stuff on in the background, I'm like, I can't, because I want to like be involved, even if it's not a live. Like they say something, and I end up being the person who has like 7 comments. I'm like, oh wait, you just said something. Let me type that out too.
And it's like you wish that you can really dig deep in there. It says with it, Courageously Thriving, who is Michelle. Sarah, you are awesome and have loved following your journey way before I started my own IG page. Inspiring. Michelle is actually going live on IG right after we go off at 9. I love Michelle.
Yes, she's a total, and she's so supportive too. She helps with a lot of, like, I'll do beta tests and stuff, and she always signs up.
Thank you, Charlene. I got some Canadian coins there. Thank you. I Let Dreams is Charlene. I tried it, and again, Thomas is like, how do you know these people? Because I want to be invested in the people who stop by my channel. I think it's really important. Again, I cannot reach 20,000. Here, I can't reach 1,440, but I can, if you reach me, I will definitely reach back out, and I get to know you that way. Discount deals for you, everyone who brings so much value in the community. Yes, Brittany's over there doing her thing. If you do not follow Brittany, you should. She has these wonderful Monday lives, which is awesome. You're saying hi to New England Betty Boop. And Tiana, who was Swag Slayer, who was just on Sarah's. That was the thing. Tiana's a private group. And I'm like, ladies, listen, you guys have to let me know who's going to be where, because I had already committed to Quimby. I just wanted to see what was going on over there, but I knew Sarah was on. So I have Sarah on the computer and Quimby on the iPad. Okay. So, and then I'm like, oh my God, Tiana, listen now.
Tiana is on all the things all the time, because she came on my channel and she did something before, and then she went to something after.
It's my fault. She says it's my fault. Because she's in I have a private group on Instagram, and it's about, thank you, Brittany. It's about 30 of us. I've had that group for a long time, but I scaled it down, and it's like our tribe. It's who we tell our truths to and cry to and all that good stuff, good and the bad and the whole ugly. And I said to the ladies, listen, you ladies have to we got to be a little bit more diligent about reporting who's going live, because like,
you guys need a shared calendar. You need a shared calendar.
And that's exactly, we're going to have to get a share. I just said that because I said, like, Terry from Evolving Always, she did her unboxing. Then Tiana's like, okay, who's going live today? Because I want to squeeze one in. And I'm like, you know what, ladies? And I try to do it. I can't make it everywhere. And I told Tiana, look, by 10 o'clock for hers on a Friday, I'm like done.
Oh, I know. And she's doing that one this weekend until like midnight. And I was like, girl, get out of here. Like,
I'm just like, listen, I peek in and I say, hey, that's what I try to do to everyone's when I can't stay. I at least try to acknowledge because I want to show that support. I hate missing it, but it's like,
there's so many.
This 51-year-old body can't be everywhere. All the money. Christy Blocker from Philly. She's my girl from Philly. Christy lives in my old neighborhood that I lived in just before I married Thomas and moved here. And we didn't know each other then. And I keep telling that story because I just see how amazing it is. We meet online or whatever, but we actually met at a Passion Sip in Philly. And now
I know it's wild.
It's so amazing how this works. Does anybody have any questions for Sarah? So Sarah, tell us about your courses that you created. Why did you want to create a course and how is it going for you?
Well, I went to school to be a math teacher. So I, am trained in formally educating people. And YouTube is a struggle for me. I don't always love it. And it's very, very time consuming. And it's one of the parts of my business that I can't do with children. I don't have my kids on social media. And so if they do happen to walk in, I have to edit it out, but I really try and do it when they're not around. So that's very difficult. But I continue to get people asking me, these questions. And I gave a I sell a dashboard, reasonably priced dashboard. But I don't want to be like, okay, here's, a life vest, go figure it out. Like I want to continue to give you support because I can look at the numbers. I know not everybody can. And so you can watch, you probably couldn't even get it all if you watch all of my videos. I wanted to really have a compact, this is how you can use those moving forward and support you in that way. I thought about doing like a live course so you can interact, but that's just, I don't have the time because that's another part like that I have to do without kids. And so I did do the recording courses. And then in the future, I'll probably extend that out to more live sessions or like, live support to help people with their numbers. But I wanted to be able to give a little bit more support to teach you. Well, now you have access to the dashboards, you have your numbers, but like, then what do you do with them, right?
Yeah. Did you have fun putting the courses together? Because I'm like, people, we make, I like, my goal is to do some stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. If I'm going to do a course or whatever. But I said, I don't know, but you never know. But did you have fun putting that together? It wasn't a labor of love.
Yeah, I mean, building the course was a lot of fun because it brought me back to like my teaching days. And I built, it was like building lesson plans. And like, I got really excited about like, at first I was like, okay, it's going to be like a 10-minute course. And then it turned into 2 separate courses of 3 hours. Because I was like, oh yeah, well, that's, building the content was really exciting. Then because I have a WordPress site and I got an add-in for it that I don't know how to use. So that was frustrating. I'm not a web developer. I've just kind of been tossed into figuring it out. So that was kind of frustrating. And then doing all of the social media around it gets to be really exhausting as well, because you can have these products, but if nobody knows about them, and so I was talking to a friend of mine, she's like, I'm going to, do passive income. And I was like, but it's not like, if I'm not on social media actively promoting or even like coming on your channel and people don't know about it. So I'm not actively making a course, but I'm still having to do a lot of social media. And so I kind of got a little burnt out of that. Like Poshmark had their birthday party, and almost anyone who asked me every single person who asked me, I was like, yeah, sure. And then it got to the night before and I was filling out my schedule and my husband was like, how many do you have?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it was a lot. It was a long weekend because I did like,
I can imagine. I just had one and I was like, yeah. And I popped into 2 others and I couldn't, some of the people weren't really advertising. So I was like, I don't know who was having, and I wasn't going to the blog to find out. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I missed all the ones you were on. I was like, they were all over it every time,
Yes, there was so many. And I tried, so I think I spoke at 6 and I went to like 8 or 10. And I wanted to go to yours, but I didn't realize you had RSVP.
Yeah, I had RSVP.
And so then I missed. Yeah,
it too. I extended it to like an hour or two before because I closed it on Friday and was like, so I reopened it up.
I know.
Yes, you and 10 other people were like, oh, I didn't realize it was closed. I was like, for me, I have to do that just to kind of keep, and I did giveaways, so I made ahead of everybody's name, and it was all kind of structured like that. But that's okay. I know you love me. It's not a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a big deal. Nope. So Melissa says, Sarah's courses and dashboards are on sale right now during December. Thank you for that. I was lazy and I didn't put everything into the comments below. So just go to Sarah Styles. Is it your website?
Yeah, sarahstylesllc.com has everything, and then you can get to like YouTube. Everything. But I'm Sarah Styles LLC everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, eBay, Poshmark, Etsy.
Instagram. I think everyone here knows who Sarah is just from the names. The names are familiar, so not to make a huge assumption, but I'm assuming that the majority of the people here know who Sarah is. And if you are having some challenges, like I decided, I have Sarah's dashboard, but I'm not doing anything extra until 2021. I just took a step back from everything, like all my content. All I'm doing right now is reselling. That's all I'm doing. I'm not writing anything, but when 2021 hits, my January calendar is already full and I have a lot of things that I am working on. And we have to take a break. I want to say that to people. It is okay to take a break. I've been taking a nap every single day. I've been resting my body. And
I love naps.
Oh my gosh. Like that's what I used to do when my children were young. I hear these mommies going, yeah, when my child goes to sleep, I'm working. I'm like, girl, I was getting in the bed. When they went to sleep, I was going to sleep. Then you put a whole bunch of toys around and you figure out what you can do while they're working, what you can do while they're in school. That's the way that you do it. When they're on their Zoom calls or whatever, you're in the same room, you can share your closet to do something. Get creative. I'm all about that mommy scheduling. And you can challenge me, but I had 5. I am a mommy scheduler. And that is how I schedule my life now, because I was a mommy who had to have 5 personalities. And then as they got older, soccer, volleyball, dance. I've done it all. So when you ask me, how can you get so much done? I have a mommy schedule. My brain is a mommy schedule. So you need to give yourself some rest. Rest your body, because your body will eventually shut down and tell you it is time to rest. So I decided, I had even said, Quentin had asked last week, is anyone, taking off? Oh, I'm not taking off for the holiday. The next day I was like, you know what? I'm just going to rest when I want to and work when I want to and not put any pressure on myself. And so it's okay. And it's okay not to feel okay. Right. So everyone, we're going to end. I want to thank Sarah for coming. Sarah, any last words you have for everyone here? I just want to thank you for coming. I appreciate you so much. Everything that you're bringing to the community, but even on a personal level, I love your content. I love seeing what you're doing, all your posts. Your husband's a nice looking guy too.
Oh, thank you. He wants to be Instagram famous so bad. He's like, take a picture of me. And I'm like, no one wants to see a picture of you at the grocery store, dude. Like,
well, the same way. He tries to like on the sly, like, oh, you're taking a picture of me. Okay. And then he has like this handsome thing. And I'm like, yeah, I see you. When I post a photo of him, because people love that he's a reseller, that gets more engagement and more likes on my page than anything else. And they're like, how did you get him to do that? I'm like, he was doing that, dude, before I even met him. Like, I didn't know about reselling.
Yeah. But he's not, but my husband, Nick is his name. He's not a reseller. And maybe I'll post pictures, but like, we're kind of boring. Like, we just live in the suburb with kids at home. He like built a closet this weekend.
But that's okay. We're totally boring. And Sarah and I are both saying the same thing. We're boring. And so like my group, we have a thing where like, we chat on Instagram, Instagram has a chat and the phone, it'll ring. I'm like, if it rings a certain amount of time, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure, because we've had some challenges in our group, deaths and stuff. And I want to make sure I'm available. And I'm like, it's ringing like longer. Let me answer it. And they're like, oh, you're here. And I'm like, I'm a regular person too. I want to talk to. I want to know what's going on. Just like you do. Like, please don't count me out because you think I'm a reseller fashion. I am Leslie. My name is Leslie. That's who I am. So he says, so thank you for joining us.
Yes,
thank you so much, everyone. Melissa says, I would love to be able to nap. Why can't you nap, Melissa?
I actually just posted on my Instagram today how much I love naps. I used to in high school, because I went to school, played sports, and then had one or multiple jobs. And I would go home. I still remember I would go home and take a 10-minute cat nap in between, and I loved it. And I almost, not all days, but for the past couple of weeks, I've been drained. I think after the posh parties, I was just like, the social media, I have to, like, the reselling stuff I actually have down to where it's pretty, it doesn't stress me out that much. I have good processes and I actually feel okay with it. Most of the time, the social media is what wears me out. And so I've kind of been in your aspect, not taking time off, but if I don't feel like posting for the day, like I used to feel like Instagram after every single day, and I'm like, I can't keep up with that right now.
Yeah, I just and I actually the last couple of days, instead of taking pictures of myself, I've been taking pictures of things that I'm doing, like my shelf and my rack, and just kind of starting conversation. And I used to post. My goal is 3 to 5 days, but it's different content, and I'm only at 2 right now, and I'm like, I'm good with that. And it's hey, like as we're talking now, things are jinging over here.
I know we're getting off, but a quick social media busy mom tip, especially because I don't like to get dressed and put clothes on and look nice all the time. I do batch photos. So some of my photos that you've seen are like 6 months old because I'm like, I got dressed to do a YouTube video. Let me take a picture doing this. Let me take a picture, change my outfit. So I have photos for those days that I don't want to. And I batch my YouTube as well. Like the video I released yesterday, I filmed like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So Sarah's just like me. And then we didn't rehearse this. That's what I said, because the last, not the one I did today, but the video previous, like how to engage on Instagram or whatever it was called. I talk about that. Like I just take pictures. Like I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I look kind of good today. Let me just take pictures of everything that I'm doing so that I can release it slowly, release to stories. And then when I make videos, you may see this shirt 5 times in a row because I've made several videos. I change it all the time. I do change my shirt sometimes, but not all the time, because it'll be something that I wrote. I'm like, oh, I can get this done like real quick. But some days I do, and some days I don't.
I changed my shirt, and I remember telling. So I worked with Chris from A Daily Refinement, he's about to have a child now, so it'll be interesting how that changes. But I told him that you will film like 4 videos in a row and just change my shirt, and he was like, "That is genius."
Oh yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And like with me, because I have a Teespring and I just opened up an Etsy store where I create like shirts and stuff now. My 3rd Etsy store is Printful. And so I actually have some things coming. So you're going to see those shirts. And then I just put in the link. You want my shirt? This is the link to my shirt. Yeah. That's marketing. That's how you market your business. You talk about what you're doing and you squeeze it in. Yes.
This is on my store.
You slowly squeeze it in. And they don't realize it. Instead of that question going like, where do you get that shirt? It's coming. It's already provided in the link. So every video that I do now, like this, I just bleached this, and I have a whole batch of them that I'm about to list on Etsy. But I have a whole bunch of other shirts. I make money in my sleep and all kinds of other good stuff. They actually featured that on the Poshmark page where I had to make money in my sleep. So yes, people market. Batch work. Sarah's really smart. But Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you. Always have fun. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. Same thing for everyone here. Thank everyone for the super chats. I appreciate you so much. I'll see you over on the gram.